pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. Welcome to this November 21st, 2022 Board of Commissioners meeting. First item is the public comment, which is for anyone that is not on the agenda. Do we have anyone that would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, I will move on to Mr. Stephen Miller with a review of the landfill. Good morning, Stephen.
I'm Stephen Miller. I'm the Resource Conservation Specialist at the Soil and Water District. Landfills have a few different agencies and authorities that they have to answer to for different parts of their operation. The authority for soil and water districts to do their biannual inspections comes from state law that outlines the powers and duties of soil and water districts. And we're authorized to go do site visits at least twice a year and then prepare a report and submit that to the county and the Soil and Water District and some state representatives too. So the review form that I completed and sent to you is a form that's provided by the Indiana Department of Ag for all districts to use for these inspections. And so before I went out, I looked at some of the past reports, and one thing I noted that there had been notes since about spring of 2019 about some off-site sedimentation happening where sediment was leaving the landfill facility, going across County Road 300 and entering a grass waterway and farm field on the north side of the road there. So that was the main thing that I wanted to check out when I was there. And if you looked at the review form, there's a few questions on there. They're kind of simple. The most important one is question number 2 there. Is there evidence of off-site sedimentation? And the other questions are kind of they're kind of supportive questions that relate back to that. But the primary thing is making sure that there's not off-site sedimentation happening. And so the way the facility is set up, there's a perimeter berm that goes all the way around it. If you saw the map in the report there, you can kind of see it on the aerial imagery. But anyway, the berm is supposed to control all the water leaving the site. According to the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan that they operate by, there's only supposed to be 3 locations where water is leaving the landfill. And each of those places where water is leaving is served by a large permanent pond, settling pond or basin that captures any kind of sediment coming off. And the pipe that was going under the berm, that sediment was leaving and going across County Road 300. That was not one of the 3 areas that was listed on their plan where water is supposed to be leaving. So I mentioned that to the folks on site there that day, and they mentioned that they were aware of that and that the pipe has been capped off permanently sometime over the summer or in the spring, I guess. So I couldn't actually view the end of the pipe that had been capped because it had been buried. So I couldn't 100% verify that it had been capped. So I told them I'd have to take their word that it had been capped, but I'd be going back out anytime there's a major storm event and taking a look to see if any water was actually coming out of that pipe, because it is visible from if you're standing on County Road 300. So since that time, we haven't really had any big storms that resulted in runoff. So I haven't been able to go back and check it out yet, but I do plan to do that, anytime we get a big storm.
I'll ask you a question real quick, Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned that there had been citation previously from spring of 19 of the off-site sediment. Is
Yep.
it the same location that this is happening at?
Yes,
Okay.
the same site, and from what I understand, quite a bit of sediment came out of that pipe and ended up in the waterway, and there was at least once where the landfill took their equipment over to that farm field and cleaned up a bunch of sediment and brought it back to the landfill. But when I was out there in the fall, you could tell that there was some sediment that had ended up in the waterway, but it didn't appear that anything had showed up recently. So I'm guessing probably since they cleaned it out last time, not much has made it across the road into the waterway. But
East of the highway, west of the highway?
I'm just talking east of the highway right now.
East of the highway.
Yep. The facility on the west side, I did inspect that as well. It's decommissioned now, so, other than some, there's minor issues are gonna
Just
be,
wasn't sure where you were at.
yeah. But, there was no major issues on the west side of the road.
So who's responsible for holding them accountable to fixing these issues?
So the Soil and Water District can work with the landfill representatives to try to get issues resolved. If we have problems doing that, we can request assistance from IDEM.
Has IDEM been involved in this off-site sedimentation since, we're going on 4 years,
Yeah.
essentially?
I think they have been contacted in the past before I got to the district. I'm not sure exactly how much pressure they were able to put on the landfill.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure of all the history there, but
If they were cited in 19 and here we are today still seeing some sediment, that's kind of bothersome in my opinion.
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to look at that stormwater pollution prevention plan before I went out, because I suspected there were some differences between what was actually happening on site and what was listed in the plan. And I think if they follow what's in their plan, they won't have any issues, because any water leaving the site will go through one of those 3, large containment ponds. So, but there was I just took a picture of the outlet of the pipe and put it in the report, but it's just a 10 or 12-inch pipe going right through the berm, and there's, other than a kind of a makeshift temporary basin next to that stockpile, the soil stockpile, there's not really any kind of control measures right on the upstream end of that pipe. So the stockpile is another kind of an eyesore issue. Ideally, any areas that are undisturbed for more than 60 days are supposed to be stabilized by either a seeding or like cover with a synthetic tarp or something. And they're still adding soil to the stockpile, so it's still kind of considered an active area. But at the same time, not all of the stockpile is being used. So, they're adding to kind of one side of it, so they could do more work to stabilize the other sides. But, like I said, any kind of operation like that, some erosion is going to be inevitable. So the main thing is making sure that sediment doesn't leave that site and cause issues elsewhere.
Is that all you have?
Yeah, unless anybody has any other questions.
The only other one I have is you have the recommendations for this fall. Is your review in the spring to see if they've fixed those? Or do you go back so many days after you make those recommendations?
I told them I probably wouldn't go back until the spring,
Okay.
but I do plan on keeping in touch with them to see if they're following through with those.
Okay. You have anything? Okay, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Stephen.
Next up is Liz Stitzel with the area plan update. Good morning, Liz.
I'm not real complicated this morning. The main thing, I just wanted to sort of follow up from our last meeting. I did check with Kat, and I believe she emailed you about the second site in Antioch. We had 2 from earlier this year that we had resolved. We only have 1 active one. So if there's a second site we're supposed to be taking active enforcement on, we've somehow missed that location. So now the one with the house we're working on.
3880.
Yes, I believe is that address, but you referred to a second one last time that was supposed to also be active. We couldn't locate that. All the others that we've received complaints on from the commissioners in the last year, we've resolved and closed. So we just need to know what that one is, if there's one out there that we've missed, and wanted to communicate back on that. As far as 3880, we're continuing to work on that. We're following up on determining whether or not there's a functioning septic there, because if there's not, then it could move straight to condemnation rather than just a repair order. It also was just listed for sale, so if a new owner comes in, that may also provide some other options. We'll see what happens. I think once we determine the septic, we will put in a courtesy call to the realtor, which we typically do anyway if we see something listed that we know has an active major issue that we happen to run across, just to let them know that if it's sold, somebody won't be able to just move into it, that there's going to be a process, and if we do find that we're condemning it, that they're aware it may vanish as a structure before it sells. So we just try to do that as a courtesy, but we can't change whether or not they can sell it or affect the free market. We just try to make sure they're aware, so legally then they're supposed to inform people that may be buying it.
Yep.
So,
You notice in the listing, there are several pictures that they have in their listing if you've looked at it.
I have not, I was not in the office on Friday, but I think my staff had looked at it, and I'll pull it up
Yeah,
today and take a look.
there's several deficiencies that you can see obvious now from their listing sheet, obviously.
Okay,
So
we'll take a look. That might be
Yeah.
helpful. Appreciate that. Do you have anything else for me? I think that was the main.
I don't.
No, that's the only one I was questioning.
All right, well, in spirit of a short meeting, thank you.
Next up is Rick Campbell with a highway update. Good morning, Rick.
I have a paper for composition for the Layton property of Bridge 55. I sent it to all the commissioners and the attorney. I need it signed by Jordan.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that Jordan sign on behalf of the commissioners.
Second. This is for, just to clarify, this is for the right-of-way for Bridge 67?
55.
55, okay.
Layton property.
Okay. There's that.
Thank you.
Yep.
The highway department's just been hauling some stone right now and doing some patching and trying to tidy up some loose ends as far as pipes and stuff is concerned. We had a little snow event last Wednesday, I believe, and we had to put some salt boxes in and go out, but everybody did real good. I was really impressed with the work the guys did, and especially the new people that we got that hadn't done it before. So this was a good trial run for them.
Okay,
That's all I got.
all right.
Good. Rick, thanks.
All right, next up, we will open the 2023 highway material bids, and Tom will open them, and then we'll take them under consideration and report back at our next meeting.
All right. First one up is engineering aggregates. All right, so they have given quotes for two different quotes: crushed limestone, FOB Michigan Town, crushed limestone, FOB Engineering Aggregates, and Logan Sport. Two different schedules. Do you want me to go through each one of these, or do you want me to read off each one?
It looks pretty lengthy. I don't know that it's necessary, so
Yeah.
maybe we'll.
We're gonna take it under
Yeah, we'll
advisement
take it under
anyway.
advisement. We'll have it compiled into an Excel sheet so we can compare
I
and
think
then
that's the best way to
select
do it.
the best bid, I think.
Okay. most of these will probably be pretty lengthy too, as well. They usually are. All right, the next one, Central Paving. Yeah, yeah, so they have the same thing. They have quite a few things here for contract amount for asphalt paving, an application rate. Other than that, they, like engineering aggregates, they have everything else included as far as what they need. Right. Another Central Paving. That first one that was Pug Mill. This one is Hot Mix. Yep, as I said, looks like they have the bid bond, everything necessary here, and the list of the hot mix for different prices. And next one again is Central Paving. This one would be for chip and seal. All right. Looks like they have everything else here. Another kind of a lengthy situation where they do quote a chip and seal the application per gallon, and then they go into another lengthy list. Right, this one is Milestone. Yep, this is wedging material and has different prices for different types of materials. I know for a lot of these, the highway department makes a list of all the different prices, and then as the year goes on, they just pick which one works best for that different type of situation. This one is Reith O'Reilly. Yep, this is a hot mix, another hot mix quote. But they have all the other information needed too. And the lastly is US Aggregates. Another very lengthy list of different types of stone and
Yeah.
aggregate, so it looks like they have what they need as well. I'll leave these up here too in front in case anybody here in the audience wants to publicly inspect any of the bids.
Yep. And then we'll organize them
Yep.
and have it on a more concise sheet that will be part of the minutes at our next meeting so that it's on record of the exact distance of all of them.
I'll make the motion that we accept these in a opening bid situation, however, to be looked at and reviewed later.
Okay. Second. Okay, next up, we have a couple items under old business. Let's see, the first one is a change order from Gibson, and Tim, you may have to correct me, I'll try and speak on what this is for. So, the Sheriff's Department had an upgrade of their phone system. There was some challenges in the communication with the 911 and dispatch, and so this is for the additional equipment that is needed to make those systems work together. Is that correct? Okay, and the voice recording. So previously, we had split the invoice 50/50 with the Sheriff's Department, but on this one, we'll absorb the whole amount. It's $3,200 roughly. And I believe we just need approval to move forward so that essentially Central Dispatch's phone system will work with the new system.
I make the motion that we approve the Gibson City change order as a state.
Motion carries second, 2-0. It's already been said. The next item is a change order from Envoy, and this is in regards to the boiler system at the jail. As we look at these systems that have been in place for 25, 30 years, what happens typically is we go in with the mindset we're going to fix this one thing, and we find that there's another weak link down the chain. And so this one is for the flue, which was originally installed as galvanized steel and now has small holes in it over 25 years. And so we need to replace that to continue to get the carbon dioxide out of the building. The change order is for $34,000. The total project of that new flue is $51,000, but this would use $17,000 of the contingency. And so I believe last week, council approved the additional appropriation of this amount to come from public safety lit. So this is a change order for a new flue on the jail boiler system for $34,445.
Mr. President, I'll make the motion that we approve and sign the Envoy change order for the new flue in the amount presented.
Okay, second. Yeah, yeah. John and Dale. Okay, last item we have under old business is a pay app to JG Case Construction. This is the final retainage for the infrastructure, the utility infrastructure that was put in place from in town out to 65. What this $15,000 was held back because we had a water line that went through a field tile and caused ponding on the north side of the road. And so that has finally been fixed, and the system's working well. So now we can finish out paying the complete project. But we mentioned it before, but I'll just highlight it again for public record that the total project ended up coming in roughly $48,000 under budget. So this is the final payment for that project of $15,000.
A motion to approve the final payment in the amount of the $15,000 that was held back.
Second. Okay, new business. The first item is we have the 2023 commissioner schedule put together that works around basically the holidays and days off and weekends. So I don't know if there's any changes that you'd like to see, Bert.
I don't.
Look good to me, so,
I don't think there's any changes that's necessary on my side.
okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the commissioners' meeting schedule for the year of '23.
Okay, second, and we will make sure we get those dates sent out to everyone. All right, the next item, there's two of them, and they kind of go together, but I'll start with the first one. Something that is kind of being called the Community Service Grant Award. And so in the past, we have given money to different organizations throughout the community, and we've had different line items in the budget to do that. Well, in conversations with council and what they had kind of moved forward with in budget time is now, rather than that, having that complexity where what we've seen is sometimes there's confusion. Do they come to the commissioners? Do they come to the council? Do they come to both to ask for a request for some money? So in working with council, they have now allotted $110,000 as one budget line item. And it comes straight to the commissioners to decide how that 110 is awarded out. And so this is essentially creating an application so that we have more transparency to the public, and we put it on an annual basis where anyone receiving money will have to come and ask for a requested amount of funds. And so this is just kind of setting something in place that is documented and a little more transparent than what we have in place. So I don't know if you have any, I don't even know if we need a motion for it. It's just something to highlight. And what we'll do is there's a few organizations that we already pay that money to that we'll let know going into '23. So kind of, it'll be on a first come, first served basis for service, community-based service organizations that are looking for some type of financial commitment from the county. And so we have basically an application with 5 or 6 questions, the amount you need, and now we'll have all this included in our minutes each time someone comes so that we can look back and see.
Say, here's what we've done.
Yeah, so that's kind of the first one. The second one, what I've seen, and I think we've all seen because we've had these discussions internally around, is signs, whether it's for a cookout or some nonprofit organization will pop up at the courthouse. And we're like, well, who, did Bert say that was okay, or did Jordan say that was okay, or Josh? And so now what we're going to do going into '23 is change this up where similarly they'll come and ask permission in a public meeting rather than just getting it privately from someone up here that they would like a request to put their sign on county property. It'll have the location, the dates, and again, it's about creating more transparency to anyone in the community, because sometimes I've gotten the question, well, why does so-and-so get to put a sign up there? Well, they came and asked. Sometimes it's that simple. This will again put a lot more documentation in place and allow it to be on public record, both from YouTube and internally on the minutes. So going into 2023, if you have an interest in having a sign for your chicken noodle dinner or whatever it is on any of the county property, it needs to come before the commissioners, and you'll have an application to fill out, and then you'll present in a public meeting to us. So. Next up is department heads. Have any department heads that would like to go? Brett, good morning.
We have that document for your signature that we are medically retiring K-9 Rocco today, and we'll be under no financial liability from this point forward.
I'm going to make the motion that we accept the letter from the Community Corrections Program for the K-9 Rocco that we accepted today and signed today.
Motion carries 2-0. Thank you. Any other department heads? Jada?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jada.
I just wanted to run by you really quick with the transition coming the first of the year with me becoming assessor and having to fill my spot as a vacancy. I wanted to go ahead and put out that job opening December the 1st and take applications through Friday the 9th. That way it would give me that next week to interview people and hopefully make a decision then by Friday the 16th. And that way that I would have that all lined up for that person to be able to start on January the 1st.
Okay. Good.
Okay,
Good with that.
thank
Yep.
you.
Any other department heads? Rodney? Good morning.
Rodney.
Trying to get in the process here of having my gal send you a resolution from the Board of Health. We had our final meeting for the year, and under your advisement, they did draft a resolution to have the job shadowing set up for the new health officer. So that will put in motion then the ability for you gentlemen to then take that nomination or consideration of who that candidate will be. So I wanted to make sure you were aware of that. I'll have her send that to you momentarily here. They just did that last week. So,
Okay,
Good job, thank you.
yep, thank you.
thanks. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. I'll move on to commissioner reports. Have anything, Bert?
Nothing that's really standing up in front of me, no.
Okay. Only thing I have to report today is there had been a lot of conversation about the Career to Cradle program, which was the Career Tech Center that had evolved into the Career Tech Center, as well as the Child Care Center that was part of the READY grant that we received $1 million for. And at one point, it was the schools, the county, the city were working together with industry partners, and then there was kind of a split in, I guess, vision for the future. And now it's come back around full circle where we're trying to just have one facility in the community rather than two, and pool all our resources together. So I think there was a meeting that I attended last week or the week before, and it's a good first step to kind of get it going back in the right direction. So hopefully we'll be able to work with all of the community partners to provide that asset to our community, because I think it would be a huge help to career development, vocational schools, all of the career paths that aren't your traditional going to college route that we can provide for our youth in this community. So that's the only thing I had to
So was that
report.
momentum changed because there was a disconnect?
Yeah, there was a disconnect. The momentum changed. I mean, to be quite frank, I think everybody's realizing they don't have enough money to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So from a financial standpoint, it takes
Woke up.
it takes a lot of different organizations working together to try and accomplish it, and it's
Good.
still a far off goal from a financial perspective of how to get there. So it just didn't make a lot of sense to have two of them, I don't think, but there was some disagreement on location and services provided and how it would be, but we've kind of circled back and tried to reconvene those conversations, and at least had a good first step. I don't think anything's imminent yet, but we're gonna try and work together rather than work opposite of each other, so.
Good.
Okay. We have claims are up next. Let's see. We have claims dated November 10th in the amount of $7,826.29. Claims dated November 18th in the amount of $24,345.46. Biweekly claims dated November 21st in the amount of $313,032.61. Court claims dated November 21st in the amount of $42,646.04. And election claims dated November 16th in the amount of $6,763.15.
Motion to approve claims in the amount presented.
Motion carries 2-0. We have payroll dated, is that correct, October 21st? Oh, November 4th in the amount of $448,665.12.
Motion to approve payroll in the amount presented on November the 4th.
Motion carries 2-0. We have minutes from our regular meeting on November 7th to approve, and then we also have from a special meeting, which I was not in attendance, so I will abstain, so we don't have enough to approve those, so we will continue those to the next meeting. So we have just minutes from our November 7th meeting.
Motion to approve the November 7th minutes.
I will second that. Okay. Is there any other business that needs to come before the commissioners today? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.